Hi, this is Thomas Sheltra, and today I'm going to be talking about the impact of school leadership on school culture and student achievement. I'm going to be focusing on transformational, servant, and distributed leadership, mainly just because I feel like these are the three types of leaderships that I personally gravitate towards. And over the past 3 years of our school, these are the types of leaderships styles that I've seen. So today I'm going to be discussing what each one of those leadership styles is. And then I'm also going to focus on the implementation and impact that it has on our school culture, and hopefully that it has and will continue to have on student achievement and outcomes. Lastly, I'm just going to conclude with which one I think is a better leadership style for our school setting. So when we look at transformational leadership, basically broke this down into encouragement and buy-in towards a vision. Here I think it's extremely important as leaders to, one, share a sense of value, goals, and a mission for everybody. And as a community and a culture for a school, create buy-in, like I said, for everybody in the community. So for parents, teachers, faculty, and staff, everybody comes to work with that sense of mission, with those values, and hopefully with a purpose each day. Even though I know that everybody cannot be 100% of the time. One of the things that Hallinger said was that there's no clear measurement on how transformational leadership impacts teaching and learning. However, I take a little bit of an issue with that, and I'll get that in a second. And then when we cross over with shaping culture and outcome, essentially when I look at our school being just in its third year, and we haven't even had a graduating class yet, the transformational leadership is key. Simply because we were a brand new school 3 years ago. We were just getting our very first class, and so everything was fresh, and so we had to create that culture from ground zero. And so how we're going to create that culture, how we're going to create that community, and how we're going to build upon that year to year to try to improve. This is why I think that I picked it number one, just because, when I think of myself as a leader, I definitely think of myself in this kind of way of wanting to motivate people. But also when you're coming into a brand new school, as a leader, as a faculty member, as a staff member, as a student, and parent sending your kid to a school, there's no other way to think of leadership style as being anything but transformational, because you have to set it from day one. And so this is where I take a little bit of an issue with Hallinger, just because even though there might not even be clear measurements or any sort of data sets that prove that transformational leadership has anything to do with teaching and learning, I do think when it comes to student outcomes, I've seen over the last couple of years in my AP classes and my grade 8 classes with teaching economics, that there are definitely students who during some of the mock exams, quarterly exams, midterm exams, who may have average or subpar scores, by continuing to try and motivate them, that they've shown during their AP exams and their final exams that they can achieve high scores. Also, I think that transformational leadership leads more towards student-centered instruction, just because when teachers are coming in with that sense of purpose, I know when I go into a classroom with a sense of purpose, I want to make sure that students are getting everything that they need to succeed. And so I don't want to just sit there and chalk and talk by lecturing, but I want to give students kind of hands-on activities, have fun in class, and give them the tools that they need by learning themselves. And I'm mainly there, just to kind of guide them. Servant style leadership, broke this down to empathy and growth for each individual. Giving teachers the skills and the tools that they need to succeed. Prioritizing their success, and making everybody feel like they matter. And again, giving them a sense of agency, right? However, decision making can be extremely slow, and there's no clear delegation. So I definitely think that's a con. When we look at servant leadership, you have the leader giving themselves everything for every individual. And so I can see where that kind of drags things down. However, when I look at our school as an example, one of the things that I think is really, really great when it comes to that servant style of leadership is, many of the new teachers who come into the school, obviously they need orientation, they get observations, they get feedback, they get coaching. And so, you have, our principal and our head of school. It can feel a little intimidating probably at first for some people, but like when you see them in the classroom and they're, watching your class, you might feel like a little nervous about that. But after what you realize that the purpose is that afterwards they're going to coach you and they're going to talk to you. They want to get feedback from you, how the class went, and also give you feedback. That really what they're trying to do is they're trying to continuously build you up. And so I think that can only make you a better teacher, and again, make you feel valued, and make you feel like you're, the way that you want to teach, that you feel supported. Again, there's no direct correlation probably to student outcomes when it comes to this style of leadership. But just like with transformational leadership, I definitely feel that like if teachers are confident and they feel valued and supported in the classroom, not only do they have the content tools to give the students to succeed, but they also know that when they go in that their teaching style is valued and supported, and that they're there to make you better. Then I feel like that can also increase and enhance student outcomes in an indirect way. With distributed leadership, I broke this down to delegation and ownership. So I think that as a school, I picked this last because I think that as a school gets older, and there's a clear mission and clear set of values that the school has. That's going to be the bedrock and the foundation of the school itself. And then as it gets older, you create that organizational structure and hierarchy. So that way, for instance, I'm one of several chairs of academic departments. We have a director of student activities. We have student council. We have athletics with an athletic director. And so it's not just the head of school and the principal for the elementary school or the high school that is in charge necessarily. They have the overall mission, and then they delegate responsibilities and that structure to all of the different departments. So I think that as our school gets older, those things are going to be foundational as well. I think that they're, depending on the style of communication, I don't really think that there's any particular huge issues that have gone on, but there might be one of those things of like who is in charge, and then again, no evidence of increased student outcome, just based on that. How again, I take issue again with this literature just based on where I found that in the article, just because I think that, compared to servant style leadership, where decision making processes can be a lot slower, here you already have like a hierarchy. So all of my social studies teachers know that if they have any questions about anything going on in the classroom, they can come to me first, right? So if there's a bigger issue, then I know exactly where I need to go to get those answers. So I think that if it's an issue of student behavior, students not performing well, how do we create differentiation in the classroom for higher level learners and lower level learners? Those kinds of decision processes can be made a lot quicker, and hopefully that will have an impact on student outcomes. And again, with school culture, we have a much more organized hierarchy compared to the first year that I was here. As the school expands, more students, more faculty, so those things have been set up into place by year 3 now, where everybody has a clear idea of where to go based on what your needs are. So my concluding thoughts, transformational leadership is great for a new school. I think, again, you're setting the foundation for culture and community. I do think that servant leadership is very, very useful in empowering faculty and making them feel valued. There's definitely teachers who need that extra support, need that empathy, and growth. And then I think that, setting it up as a 1, 2, 3, I think that as the school grows and the school gets older, distributed style leadership, I think, probably is going to be the most ideal in my viewpoint, just because it's you're setting everything in place where there is a solid structure and organizational hierarchy, and that way each department can be focused specifically on the content, the curriculum, teaching methods, and you have the teachers who are in the classroom, and you can give instant feedback, coaching. You can have quick meetings. And so I think that probably distributed leadership, in my opinion, is probably going to be the most beneficial as the school gets older. But I think right now, transformationals is key, because we're still a new school. We haven't had any sort of graduating class yet. And so building that culture and community and sustaining that is key right now. So thank you for your time. Here are my references that I used for this video and for this presentation. So thank you for your time.